Liberal Viewer presents.
So a lot of important facts were missing from the Fox News story that ran multiple times last weekend that should have been about the controversial law Arizona passed in 2010 with only Republican votes that was meant to outlaw a Mexican American Studies program in the Tucson School District. That law was then implemented by the Republican Superintendent of Public Instruction, the top education official in the state of Arizona, but Fox News' supposedly straight news reporter Casey Stegall never mentioned the top education official was a Republican or that he was implementing a law passed by Republicans to target Mexican American studies in the explanation you can see in this clip.
Top education officials here in Arizona say that Tucson's Mexican American Studies program actually violates state law because the curriculum and lesson plans were never approved by the school board. And a judge recently agreed, saying because of that failed oversight, the classes were, and I'm quoting here, promoting racial resentment and activism against white people.
Now supposedly straight news reporter Casey Stegall didn't tell viewers there that his quote about promoting racial resentment actually comes from that law passed in 2010 with only Republican votes that was meant to outlaw this Mexican American Studies program. And what Casey Stegall also failed to mention was that he was quoting an administrative law judge whose opinion is only advisory to the final decision of the Republican Superintendent of Public Instruction, John Huppenthal, who, again, Fox News never identified as a Republican or, more importantly, as one of the Republicans in the Arizona Senate that passed the law targeting Mexican American Studies in 2010 before he became the Superintendent of Public Instruction, even though the Fox News report goes on to quote him in this clip.
We have no problem with a history class talking about historical injustices. It becomes problematic, though, when you take every historical incident and you interpret it in racial terms, put it in a racial context, and use that to inflame a low-income Hispanic minority against a white Caucasian majority. Then it becomes toxic.
Now, the other fact that neither Republican John Huppenthal nor the supposedly straight Fox News reporter ever told the viewers is that Huppenthal and the administrative law judge reached their conclusion about the problems with Mexican American Studies in Tucson despite an extensive audit by Cambion Learning, an independent third party that found no such problems and actually found the course improved the academic performance of students who took it. But probably the worst factual inaccuracy in the Fox News story only came in the later versions not available online, where supposedly straight news reporter Casey Stegall introduced another clip of Republican John Huppenthal, the top educational official in Arizona, to supposedly fact-check American history with the misinformation you can see here.
The investigation revealing erroneous facts were being taught. Listen.
One of the founders of the Mexican American Studies class came in while I was there with the students and portrayed Benjamin Franklin as a racist. And I thought, well, whoa, time out. Benjamin Franklin was the president of the Abolitionist Society in Pennsylvania. If anything, Benjamin Franklin should be in the Civil Rights Hall of Fame.
Now, the fact that Benjamin Franklin opposed slavery later in his life, after actually owning slaves earlier in his life, doesn't really answer the question of whether Franklin was racist, but anyone familiar with the writings of Benjamin Franklin would find it hard to argue he was not being racist in his essay titled Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries, etc., which ends with a paragraph that not only laments the swarthiness of the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes, but ends with, quote, "Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red? But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind," unquote. Now, that's pretty much the dictionary definition of racism, which makes me think that Republican John Huppenthal, as the top education official in Arizona, needs to learn a little more American history, but I want to know what you think. Does Republican John Huppenthal need to learn more about American history, perhaps by taking one of those Mexican American Studies classes he's been attacking? And regarding the biased reporting from Fox News, why is Fox News hiding the partisan Republican nature of the attack on Mexican American Studies in Arizona?
YouTube, you decide.